like to start by telling you that I know my father would look at all this and say, what's all the fuss about? But nevertheless, I'm going to make a little fuss because I think he deserves it. My father was a man of uncommon virtue. He had character, honesty, integrity, intellect, wit, wisdom, and so much more. He was the most principled man I have ever known and ever will know. He's what the Italians will call a uomo di rispettati, a man of respect. And I think a great example of this is the tremendous admiration that his grandchildren had for him. My sons, Steve's sons, Bill and Bashira's daughter. They all loved and respected my father, not because he demanded it, but because he deserved it, because he earned it. He truly led by example. He was not preachy. He didn't insist that everyone hear his opinion. He never even offered advice unless he was asked to. But when he did, it was always right on the money. Steve, in fact, mentioned to me a couple days ago that he never came away from a discussion with my father not having learned something that he didn't know. He also had, to his last day, a razor-sharp memory, razor-sharp mind, I should say, with a memory to match. He told stories in such precise detail that when he was through, there was nothing left to be said. It was so vivid. He put you right where he was. And his sense of humor was equally sharp. In fact, as most of you know, my mother is buried here. And when I told him how much it cost to open the grave, he said, well, just throw me on the ground. I'll disintegrate somewhere. I could tell you so many stories that describe who my father was, but I think there's one from his war years that really captures it. I'm sure most of you know my father was in the OSS during World War II as the forerunner of the CIA. And he spent the war doing intelligence work in Italy because he could speak Italian. And when he landed in Paestum, this is a small town just south of Salerno, beautiful green columns and architecture. And as soon as he got on the beach, he noticed an older man and woman there. He didn't know if they were husband and wife, brother and sister. He wasn't sure who they were, but they knew who he was. They recognized him as being Italian, and therefore went up to him and asked him if he had any food, because they were starving, as most of the Italian people were in World War II. And he immediately gave them every scrap of food that he had on him. And when he did, something clicked in his mind, and he told me, he said, in the span of 5 minutes, I went from being a stranger in a strange land to being home. He said, I was home. And I knew what I had to do. And what he had to do, in addition to his day job, was to help every Italian that he met. Individuals, families, you name it. He made it his business to be there for the Italian people, all the Italian people that he met. I think it's really something when somebody knows what their life's work is. At 21 years old, he's 21. Some people don't figure it out for many years, and a lot of people never do. And yet my father, without the benefit of any of the social tools we have today that can make the world seem so small, he realized something very big. Why he was here and why it was so important. Not for him, but for those he befriended and helped so many times. And he told me countless stories like this, but never, ever with a trace of ego. It wasn't about him. It was never about him. It was about the people that he knew and felt compelled to help because they were his brothers and sisters. Some years ago, I actually got some friends of mine from work together. We went out and had a few drinks with my dad because they heard me talk about him so much and wanted to meet him. And the next week when I spoke to one of my friends, and he said, Vince, your father is a national treasure. And he really was. And this is why he and millions like him were so aptly named the greatest generation. They were the greatest generation. And we're never going to see people like them again. And he also taught me many Sicilian proverbs, these sayings that just capture life situations in a way that English just can't do. We'd be talking about something and he would stop and say, there's an Italian expression that describes this situation, and we'd usually laugh. But in conclusion, I'd like to relate one in this somber occasion that is very eerily appropriate, and it goes, La vecchiaia e la malida che sicura con piano piano solamente la morte. And it means the only cure for old age is a peaceful death. Bravo, Papa. You got your wish.